I am making the statement that I think these two guys are
That's
bigger than
fine.
the other one.
When we talk about the tag teams, that's perfect analysis to bring up during a discussion. I just don't think you should attack the semantics of the list we're trying to put together.
Oh, I was trying to have more in the text thread is where I was really trying to argue more than just doing it on the pod.
Well, listen, I'm always down to argue with you, and I will love you forever and always, but I'm just saying I don't want you to attack the semantics of the list, because I just think it undermines us from the start if you do that. That's my only point. Other than that,
I think we will have to have a little discussion on whether or not the legends, as you call them, deserve a spot on the list.
That's fine. We can definitely debate that, and that, again, makes for good content, but let's just not attack the list for what it is.
Welcome to the Yeah We Know podcast, part of the More You Know's podcasting network. You're in the ring with Jimmy, Rod, and Chris. Rod, what are you hot about tonight?
I'll tell you what I'm hot about, Jimmy. Let me talk to you, all right? Yeah. Our guy, the megastar, the people in the crowd, they yell him, you hear him, L.A. Knight, all right? He's installed as the favorite in the Money in the Bank ladder match. Things are looking great for guys like you, me, and Chris who love the megastar, and then all of a sudden, we pull up to Monday Night Raw, and L.A. Knight is no longer the favorite in the Money in the Bank ladder match because Logan Paul has decided to grace the WWE Universe with his presence once again. The occasional wrestling superstar that is Logan Paul, the guy who exists in the weirdest region of WWE Universe in the entire history of sports entertainment, is now the favorite in Money in the Bank, and I'm a little disappointed, Jim.
The Logan Paul to the Yeah We Know podcast, Chris King. He comes in every now and then, has a couple good things, but really, what is he? What are we going here? Chris King, how excited were you to see Logan Paul added to Money in the Bank?
I've said it here before. I really don't care about Logan Paul. I know he gets a pop. I know he's popular, so that's good for the WWE. I don't necessarily think that just because Logan Paul is in the Money in the Bank match that he is destined to win it.
We'll see. We used to have another member of the Yeah We Know podcast, and we've got a story about that member. You're in the ring with Jimmy and Brett back in the day. Brett is actually, where is he now? Well, he's still in the wrestling game a little bit, figuratively speaking, of course. He was on a date recently and on Hinge. Are you guys familiar with Hinge at all, this dating app?
I wasn't aware that was. I've heard of a few of them, but not that one.
I have not heard of that one.
Never heard of Hinge.
But on this young lady's Hinge profile was, you can come over and watch old wrestling pay-per-views with me at any time. That's on her profile. So, of course, sticking to what he knows best, he said he hinged her or whatever the heck you do on Hinge. So,
he hinged her is the best thing you've ever said on a podcast, Jimmy.
So, on Father's Day weekend, they took their kids to their separate kids, obviously, to a splash park, and they were talking a little bit. And her favorite wrestler was The Undertaker, and she had never seen Vengeance 1998, The Undertaker's match there. It was the Inferno match. Well, so they brought it up when they went back to her house later in the evening, and they were watching Vengeance, and they saw Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson come out as Rocky Maivia. And she says, and I quote, "I forgot that Dwayne Johnson was a wrestler at one point."
Whoa, that's red flag.
And I quote, "I was at a crossroads, Jimmy, not one of which I didn't really know what to do, but what do I do here?" And then he asked himself, what would Vince McMahon do? Needless to say, he did what Vince McMahon would do. So anyway, he had a very good time watching some wrestling with a young lady. And Brett, we wish you the best of luck moving forward there. What would Vince McMahon do?
Wait a minute, Jimmy. He wasn't the least bit worried that this connection, this spark, this oeuvre that they found in common wasn't the least bit nefarious when she wasn't aware one of the greatest wrestlers of all time was a wrestler?
Well, he looked at it this way. Again, Crossroads. But what's more important? We'll go for it here. My life is still being enriched by wrestling, even when I don't watch regularly. So he is hoping everyone.
We miss
is
you,
doing
Brett.
well.
Shout out, brother. The minute you watch regularly, you are welcome on this podcast again.
He
anytime.
definitely wanted to get that out. So Rod talked about LA Knight, talked about Logan Paul. We have a lot going on in the WWE. Next week, we're going to have our big Money in the Bank preview show. But this week, we wanted to talk a little bit, guys, about who is the most over in the WWE. And that's a fun topic because over is a relative term. What does over mean and who is who? And is it tag teams? Is it singles? So what I'd like to do is I'm going to ask you, we're each going to throw out 3 or 4 names here, if we can. Actually, we're each going to throw out 2 names of people we think that are over, and then we're going to list them in order of who is the most over in WWE. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. But Jimmy, let me ask you a quick question here as the resident expert on this podcast. All right.
Sure.
For the folks that we hope are joining up for us because they're coming back to wrestling. They love being a noob, all the above. Your best definition of over for those people, Jimmy, come on, give it to us.
People or wrestlers that the fans love or hate. They have a reaction. Being over is getting reacted to. So when someone comes to the ring and people are chanting what, or people are really quiet, they go to the bathroom break, that's not being over. Being over is when you come to the ring and you cannot talk or wrestle because people are chanting your name or singing your song or saying, yeah, a lot. So that is being over.
So let me just give the people who may have watched SmackDown from last Friday an example of not over, okay?
Okay.
AJ Styles and Michin come to the ring to wrestle Karrion Kross and Scarlett, and you can hear a pin drop in that arena for the entire match. And we're talking about somebody named AJ Styles, who is loved by many people out in the wrestling universe. And we had absolutely no reaction to that match whatsoever. It might have been the quietest match I've seen on a Raw or a SmackDown in a long time, Jimmy. So the absolute definition of not over was that match for anyone who watched SmackDown last Friday.
Chris King, let's start you off here. Give us a couple people who you feel are the most over in WWE.
Well, really, when you think about the most over, I can only think of 2 people right now, and they match your definition exactly, Jimmy. One person can't even get a word out without getting muted by the crowd. Another guy can't get a match started because the crowd just keeps singing. And that's Dominic Mysterio and Rod's boy, Seth freaking Rollins.
At least you pronounced Seth's name correctly, and I appreciate that. But I'm pretty sure it's Dominic Mysterio, not Dominique.
Doesn't matter. It's Dom.
You know what? Who's most over with me? Chris King is most over with me. I'll tell you that right now. Let me talk to you. All right. So Seth Rollins and Dominic Mysterio. In 2023, we are saying Dominic Mysterio is one of the most over people in the WWE. Let's go back to 2021 and talk to ourselves about that. Unbelievable transformation on that one, Rod.
I was going to say, Jim, I was literally about to yell out that you can probably go back to the earliest editions of me joining you on this wrestling podcast and me asking you numerous questions about Jimmy. Why is Dominic Mysterio a thing? Why are we worried about Dominic Mysterio? Why is he wrestling with his father? How did he get here? What in the world? And here we are all the years later. I guess what I would say about this is they're almost the same, right? And stay with me for a second here, right? Rollins sort of is over as a bad guy, kind of, right? Like he's not really doing anything different than the Seth Rollins character when he was supposed to be a heel, right? When he was getting involved with Cesaro, right? Like that's almost where this character started, right? When he was all mad at the Swiss Beast himself. This is almost where this character started. We went on a bunch of up and downs, and he essentially does heelish things, but is over with the crowd as a babyface. Is it harder to be over as a babyface or over as a heel? I would say it's harder to be over as a babyface, but Seth almost gets knocked down a peg because he's over as a heel as a babyface, if that makes any sense, Jimmy.
That is a Chris Kingism if I've ever heard in my life. He's over as a heel as a babyface. I like that. So, yeah, it's really interesting because he hasn't changed. He's still a bad guy, but yet people just love him and they don't care about it. It's kind of like with when Roman Reigns was supposed to be a good guy, but they didn't care. They hated him. It's just the inverse of that. So having Seth Rollins be that over, but not kind of what the WWE wants is interesting on that list, where Dom, people hate him. WWE wants to hate him. And it's not that X-Pac heat. And X-Pac heat, for those of you who
That's awesome.
are new, is a term where X-Pac was a wrestler back in the 90s and 2000s. And he would come out as part of D-Generation X. And D-Generation X was the biggest group ever. It was fantastic.
White hot heat DX.
Soon as he went on his own after the DX thing kind of went off, no one really cared. They didn't. The X Factor really wasn't a very good group. But so that's kind of what X-Pac heat is there. Rod, let's get a couple more people on our list here, and then we're going to start kind of forming our top 10.
All right. Well, I mean, if we're going to talk about over and we're going to talk about how hard it is to be over as a babyface, you have to give much love to Cody Rhodes, who's someone that I have maybe slighted a time or two on this podcast, but there is no doubt the reaction that is in the arena when this man comes to the set, when the American Nightmare song drops. What's the song called, Jimmy? Kingdom? Is that what the song's called?
Yeah. The crowd is here about to blow is fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. And then when Cody hits the ground and then he pops up for the whoa and everybody yells, you know what I mean? It's all great. So you got to throw Cody Rhodes out here. And I would say someone else that has to be thrown out here is a tag team, because I believe if the WWE is going to have tag teams, you have to then honor the tag team as a team, are the Usos. Okay, we can try to talk about Roman this and the people who are against the bloodline that, but the thing that we all know in our heart of hearts is the stone cold solid foundation of the entire bloodline storyline has been Jimmy and Jey Uso, and it is paying off big time right now. So those are the first people that come to my mind, Jimmy.
Chris King, how many times have you watched the Jimmy and Jey and Roman segment from SmackDown?
Definitely a few, more than a handful for sure, because it was must-watch TV, right?
Yep.
And that's what we've been waiting for.
Let me get a quick sidebar here. The Mrs. Morgan, Jimmy, happened to be
Yes.
sitting next to me when this came on, and she was enthralled, okay? I'm talking phone down. She's no longer playing Royal Match or whatever game that is on her cell phone that she's doing numerous times when I'm talking to her about other things. That is down. She is leaning forward in her chair, and she is watching this, and she is cheering along, and she doesn't watch wrestling every week, but she knows enough about that storyline to know how huge that moment was. I love that you brought this up, Jim.
You're out, and so am I. Wham. Loved every second of it. They have done a very good job with the storyline. Still does not need the championship involved, but we're not going to talk about that. But I think that was a very good pick there. And obviously Cody Rhodes, since coming back, has been pretty hot. I'd like to go on. Let's talk about someone who Cody Rhodes is going against right now. Hey, Brock Lesnar. Doesn't wrestle very often, but whenever he does, the crowd goes crazy for him. The funny cowboy hat Brock that came back last year, unbelievable. Switched it a little bit where he's not as funny. Now he's just a badass. Comes in every now and then. He and Cody are going to have a banger at SummerSlam as well. So, Chris King, is Brock Lesnar deserving to be on this list, do you think?
Yeah, because he gets big, huge pops every time he shows his face. And because you really know every time he shows up, he's going to beat somebody up. And that's what we want to see Brock Lesnar do, is come in and beat people up. And I don't care if it's 6 times a year or 4 times a year. That pop that he gets is huge and deserves to be on this list.
Rod, are you okay with Brock?
All right, let me just ask this one question, because just a little behind the curtain knowledge for everyone out there in listener land. All right, this has been the source of a little bit of the debate back and forth between me, Jimmy, and Chris in the group's thread here. All right, because I have a belief that a guy like Brock Lesnar and a guy like someone else that I won't name in case he comes up in this discussion fall under a category of Hall of Famer. But Jimmy, let me ask you this question, because again, you are the adjudicator here. You are the knowledgeable man who has followed wrestling his entire life. I, like a fool, strayed away for a bunch of years and sapped myself of that wrestling enjoyment. Chris did the same. Now he's back. We're both mending our error of our ways. But I ask you, Once you're over, are you over for all times, or are we trying to come up with a list of people who are over for right here and now and involved in current storylines?
It's got to be right here, right now, involved in current storylines, because let's take I don't want to go to this person. Well, you know what? I'm the host of the show, so I'm going to go to the person, but I'm going to talk about LA Knight in a second, just a second. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to talk about him in a minute. If we did this list 3 months ago, Sami Zayn is number one, no question. Okay. No question at all. Sami Zayn has not been mentioned yet. Okay. I think someone will probably mention Sami Zayn before this is out, but it has to be in the here and now. So when Brock Lesnar comes back in the here and now, he is going to be over, because a few years ago when Brock would come back and it's, oh yeah, Brock's back, he's going to win. People did not like that. That Brock Roman multiple match feud that they had over a few years, people hated that, and it was not over.
Yeah. Okay, so I like what you're saying here. I think what I'm trying to say is, once you're a legend, right? Once you're stamped as a Hall of Famer, it almost doesn't matter if you're currently over in the environment and storylines that are happening on Raw and SmackDown at the moment. You're always going to come back, right? Anytime Hogan's music pops, boom, people are going to go crazy. Anytime Rock's music pops, boom. Anytime the glass breaks, right? Anytime I'm cute, I'm sexy, right? These guys, the bell rings, right? These guys are legends. So yes. I think people like Brock and Ray are in that category, where I'm not trying to slight them. I appreciate that they're still around and doing their business now and today, but I think the majority of the reason they get pops are because of who they used to be and not who they currently are. Chris King, your retort.
So I definitely like Jimmy's take that they have to be involved in the here and now. I do think that in Ray's case, he is involved in the here and now. Whether or not he's a Hall of Famer or not, he is involved in the here and now with one of the hottest storylines we've seen in the past year with him and Dom. To a lesser extent, Brock is still sort of involved. We know what's coming up in a couple months with SummerSlam, and him and Cody are still involved in a storyline. So he is still kind of involved in the here and now. Like, he has an active storyline. It's not like we're bringing back Stone Cold for a little quick, let's get him out here and throw some stunners around at the end of a premium live event.
I don't often like to give you credit, Chris. I really don't. But you kind of just flip my head around there to where now I'm going to have to really think about who we put in our top 10 list here, because you're right? Ray absolutely is 100% involved in a whole lot of storylines. He still has the Dom thing on the back burner a little bit, but he's completely birthed the end of the LWO back in our lives, right? Selena Vega might be as hot as she ever has been in her career. At least maybe not her career. Jimmy will speak more to this than I can, but certainly for the last couple of years, she's hotter than ever right now. And then you have, why am I losing his name? Santos Escobar. He's in the Money in the Bank ladder match. That guy was nothing 6 months ago, and the only reason he's in the Money in the Bank ladder match is because of Ray. So, Chris, you're turning my head around here. Wow. I never thought I would say it. Kudos to you, old man.
To everyone on our group thread, yes, Rod's mind got changed. I think we're done. Podcast over. We've done it. Let me talk to you. LA Knight is one of the most over individuals ever. And you know what? It's because of us. Think about this. Jacksonville Jaguars. How'd they do? They were our squad. Sacramento Kings, ever hear of them? Yeah. How'd they do? It's our squad. LA Knight. How's he doing? He's our boy from day one. We wanted LA Knight back. We got LA Knight back. And he has slowly, and then all of a sudden, kabam, just that reaction he got on Raw when he came out, when he said, and the name on the case is points LA Knight, was the loudest reaction I've heard in a very long time. And that was a show filled with loud reactions.
That was crazy, Jim. I could not believe that was the response that he got. I was incredibly happy to see it, and I would have certainly been yelling at the top of my lungs had I been in that live audience, but I was definitely surprised to hear that was his reaction.
LA Knight chants are taking over press conferences by Triple H. They're taking over toy industry things. Listen, it's kind of a cool thing, and he's great on the mic. He's got the body, Vince, so calm down. Yeah, I know he's not 6'6". I get it. That's fine. And he can work. Chris, LA Knight's doing real well for us.
Yeah, no, and he's really showing the brass that he needs to be involved more, because we talked about it, how he was absent from a couple of premium live events, especially WrestleMania in LA.
Hey, yeah.
So it's nice to see him getting a push, and that's why he's still my favorite to win the Money in the Bank.
I hope so.
Maybe
I
your
really
favorite,
do.
but Vegas has got to be on Logan Paul at this point. They've got to be on Logan Paul at this point. We don't have the handicapper Josh Williams here with us because he doesn't handicap of sports entertainment, but it's got to be Logan Paul at this point.
All right, Chris, can you give us another person on our list? We gotta get our top 10 here in a minute.
We're gonna bring up a guy that got mentioned before. He is also a member of a tag team, so this tag team is coming in together. And that's Sammy and KO.
Okay,
all right,
for sure.
They are the current, undisputed tag team champions. Every time they come out, it doesn't matter if it's a promo on the screen. It doesn't matter if it's Saturday morning after SmackDown. Like, they get pops and they get attention. I'm going to make a little statement here that even though I am a fan of Kevin Owens and I do enjoy him in the ring, especially more now than when I first started watching.
You watch your mouth.
He was still in the KO show, and I wasn't a big fan of the KO show, but I am a fan of him now. The dude gets excited to go out and punch people in the face, and that's what I want from my wrestlers. But this is really more to do with Sammy and the pops that he gets. Sammy is insanely popular right now, so much so that just like you hear LA Knight chants during press conferences, you have other wrestlers and other promoters out there trying to talk and getting Sammy chants thrown back at their face. You get Usi chants thrown back when Sammy isn't even on the show. So it's a amazing and crazy how much pop he gets. I know Kevin Owens gets real big pops too. I'm not trying to take too much away from him, but I do think
you are, though.
This team gets in there.
Let's just be honest.
This team gets in there because of Sammy, not because
I was
of
going to
Kevin.
say, let's just be honest. You are. You're trying to take a slide at the prize fighter, right? You're taking a slide at the guy who wears a duct tape KO on his T-shirt, right? The guy who just shows up and wants to punch people in the face. You're taking a slide at him for the guy who has the soccer chant that goes along with him when he comes to the ring. And I get it. That's great, because my guy has a chant that goes along with him too. But I just wonder if maybe Jim, and I think you're going to speak to this because you've been a KO guy far before I was a KO guy, if you can't have Sammy being out there and flamboyant if you don't have the prize fighter holding it down.
You have to have that back up there. And Chris, I don't think you really did toe the line there very well. And I appreciate that because I was ready to go off. But I think that right now in the moment, I got to listen to my own rules. Yes, 100%. Sami Zayn is the reason this team is on. But Sammy and Kevin are those two people that you can put them in a team. You can put them in singles matches. You can, any belt. Doesn't matter. Any night they could win. And that's really, people love them and they're going over there. Okay.
Yeah, how awesome was that KO Gunther Intercontinental Championship match, Chris? Come on, that was a great match recently.
Yeah, no, that was fantastic.
Rod, I know you're chomping at the bit to get somebody else in here.
All right, listen, we got to go to the females at this point, okay? And I am going to continue to go by my morals, my judgments, my calls that I have made, okay? If Charlotte Flair is a 14-time women's champion, then she basically is a legend already. She made the line, as she famously quoted on an episode of SmackDown recently. So I can't have her on this list. Yeah, I can't have her on this list. But who I can have on this list is someone by the name of Rhea Ripley, okay? And I'll tell you what, Rhea Ripley's pops are similar to Roman, and here's what I mean by that, okay? When Roman comes to the ring, there's a bunch of people that like Roman and respect him and throw ones up in the air and all the nines. But then there are other people who are more addicted to kayfabe, boo Roman, hate him, all of the above, because that's what they're supposed to do, okay? When Rhea Ripley comes to the ring, you get the exact same reaction. People that are cheering and going crazy for her because she is one of the most dominant females we've ever seen do it. And they are booing her because you're supposed to hate her because she's attached to Dom, who we already threw out earlier in this particular pop list.
And I think we might have done a disservice of just throwing random people out here because I do think the Rhea Dom is essential to both of them being as over as they are, just because of that dynamic between the two, and they have such good chemistry. But individually, obviously, Rhea Ripley is just a badass, amazing, dominant champion, and they are, Chris King, they are actually booking her as that. Ask Natalya.
Yeah, no. They are. I mean, when you have your opponent talking about, I need to think about whether or not this is for me before the match even happens, you know that you're really pushing Rhea hard to be the dominant force that she is. And Rod, I'm going to give this to you. You gave me a compliment earlier. You kind of changed my mind. I know we disagreed on one of the females that should be on this list, and I really think that Rhea probably deserves it over. It was Becky Lynch who I was originally fighting for. For one thing, like we talked about earlier, Becky doesn't have much of a storyline right now.
That's the
She's
issue.
not being used really much at all, even though she still gets popped big.
But that's almost kind of legend status, though, no?
I mean,
Apparently,
possibly, but
Rod
she's
thinks
popular.
Anyone who's popular is a legend. So.
Right, so she doesn't have the storyline. With Rhea, you have story, you have intrigue. She's the leader of her own group. I mean, she's the leader of the Judgment Day, right?
Damn right.
Is anybody disagreeing with that?
Nope. So I think that's a good call there, and I'm going to throw one more in our top 10. I'm going to throw Sheamus out. Sheamus has kind of gotten lost in the shuffle on a little bit of things here, but every time he comes out, he still gets that pop, and hopefully they haven't ruined that moment with him. So we need to.
We want to talk individual moves though, too, Jim. Right, as far as Sheamus goes, right?
Yeah,
as far as individual moves, like when Sheamus throws somebody in the ropes and is about to do that 10 beats of the Bowerin, right? Like people are way excited. You know what I mean? Like there's never been anybody who's above the age of 40 more excited to count than when Sheamus is about to beat somebody in the chest. You know what I mean? Like that's a big thing.
Sheamus teaching kids how to count the world over.
I like it though. Sheamus could easily be up there a little sneakier, right? But he's somebody else we have to throw out here real quick, Jim, before we close out and try to get the actual top 10 list. Is come on, Roman Reigns has to be here.
Oh yeah, sorry, I already counted.
He has to be here.
Yep.
He has to be here. I mean, he's the head of the table. He's the tribal chief. He's the straw that stirs the drink. Like any one of the old colloquialisms you want to come up with, Roman's that guy. Do we wish he showed up on television a little bit more? Absolutely. Do we wish he did a few more fights than just premium live events every other time? Of course. But what are we going to do, man? The old man, Vincent Kennedy, is running things still to this day, and he loves Roman, and we're going for Bruno Sammartino's record, so let's get after it.
Hey, you can't deny Roman deserves to be on this list. I will say I think that him still being as over as he is does have a lot to do with the Usos and Sammy.
Yeah,
and that storyline
for sure. All right, so let's go our top two, okay? Because I think we're going to get this pretty quick. The rest is kind of going to be crazy here. Top two, I think Seth and Dom are going to be 1 and 2 in some order. I think I've been changed as well. I think I might go Dom 1, Seth 2. What are your thoughts, Chris?
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I think Dom is the most over right now. They wouldn't even let him talk the other night. I mean, they literally would not let him talk, and he had to hurry out and rush out and say, "Yes, I'll fight you tonight." Six man tag. I mean, he had to rush that out because the crowd was not letting him even breathe into that microphone.
Yes, challenge. Thank you very much. Okay, all right. Rod, are we okay with Seth being 2, Dom being 1? What do you think?
I mean, listen, I can't say that you guys are wrong, but I also can't vote against my guy Seth Rollins. So I have to go with Seth Rollins as 1, but I can't say that you guys are wrong. That's my answer.
Okay, I think we've got 2 good ones there. Let's go 3, 4. Cody 3?
Absolutely.
Who else?
It's got to be Cody, in my opinion.
Chris King?
I can agree with Cody. If it's not Cody, I think it's got to be Sammy and KO.
Okay, so I think it's going to be Cody at 3, Sammy, KO at 4, or Usos at 4.
I say Usos.
I think it might be Usos, dude. I mean, again, 2-3 months ago, no question. But I don't know. What do you think, Chris?
If Monday night didn't happen, I'd still probably be pushing really hard for Sammy and KO. But Monday night happened, and we can't deny that. Or I'm sorry, SmackDown happened. We can't deny
Monday
that.
also happened, but it didn't really have much to do with it.
But
all right,
but since SmackDown happened, I think right now the Usos are probably going to be getting bigger pops than what Sami and KO are, at least from now in the near future.
I mean, wrestling is always subjective, right, Jimmy? But if we want to talk about any kind of concrete proof we have for something like this that we're talking about here, it's the social media views that they got on those segments, right? It's the fact that SmackDown was one of the more viewed. Like if we want any kind of concrete proof that we aren't just dudes in basements talking about wrestling, which we are, but we're well-informed dudes in basements talking about wrestling. That's the kind of thing that it is, right? So I agree with you. I believe that this Bloodline storyline is one of the better storylines they've told within the last decade, possibly. You know what I mean?
Well, and everyone else agrees with you because the ratings are some of the highest right now that they've been. So we have Dom, Seth, Cody, and Usos. I think 5 and 6 are going to come down to LA Knight or Sami and KO.
Wow. Man, that's
now,
a tough
we still
call.
have Roman, Brock, Rhea, and Sheamus on the list, but
we do.
Listen, let me talk to you.
Yeah. I think when you guys talk about the fact that he's popping up in other little areas, you know what I mean? We're getting people doing LA Knight, other places, you know what I mean? Like I don't know. I think I probably got to go LA Knight there. And I will throw something out for the listeners. I don't like to admit defeat very often. I don't like to admit not being the just wonderful, charismatic force that all of you come to the Yeah We Know podcast for. But I left LA Knight off my original pop list, and I really should probably be shouted down for that.
We weren't going to bring that up. Chris and I discussed that in depth on a phone call earlier because we don't want to diminish or belittle you. That was just ridiculous, dude. You call yourself a fan. Did you know that Dwayne Johnson used to wrestle? Chris King.
Is that The Rock? Is that the same guy?
Is that, are you okay with Sami KO? I think you're going to be outvoted, so it doesn't really matter. But are you okay with Sami KO being 6?
I still think they should be 5. I mean, Sami still gets his chance during other wrestlers' promos and everything else too, and he's had it done more often than what.
No, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. Sami and KO are like the second biggest baby faces in the company. They're tag team champions. Like Jimmy, I think we're just letting our own love for LA Knight cloud us a little bit.
No question. Hey, you're lucky Ochampa's not on this list. That's all I gotta say.
Hey, we forgot to mention that he came back. I knew it, Chris. I told you, Jimmy is way pumped about Ochampa back.
Let's go. Oh, dude. Hey. When he and Johnny Gargano form DIY again, you guys are going to be insane. NXT, shout out Crippler. We have Roman, Brock, Rhea, and Sheamus left on the list. How is the 1,000-day champion who has been in the most over storyline in the last
Jimmy, that's
20
it.
years?
1,000 days,
7
right?
on the list.
The staleness of it, right? The fact that some people like you are really against it, right? Like you basically, the way that I like to take shots at Bianca Belair every once in a while out of nowhere on this podcast, you like to take shots at the fact that Roman should have lost the belt to Cody at WrestleMania out of nowhere on this podcast. So I think that a little bit of that speaks to how Roman has slid down the ring. Old man, how about you?
Listen, I haven't even seen the entire 1,000 days, and I'm kind of tired of it.
That's true.
I've been waiting since last summer at Clash at the Castle for him to lose these belts. So
all 3 of them.
Yeah.
3 of them, by the way, now.
Why are you still doing that, Jim? Come on, you got to have an answer for me.
You know what? I think Triple H is just doing it to fuck with everybody. Oh, sorry, but I really think he's like, you know what? Screw it.
It does look better than, remember when they used to just do the weirdly colored water bottles in the background of their backstage segments? At least now it's the 3 belts. That's better.
So do we want Roman at 7, Brock at 7, Rhea at 7, or Sheamus at 7?
Roman's got to be 7.
All right. So then we go Brock and Rhea.
Because
I think Sheamus is 10. I think Sheamus has gone down to 10.
Yeah. No, I think Sheamus at 10 just gives him enough respect. I think you're right there, Jim.
Yeah, and I don't have a problem putting Rhea above Brock just because she is so much more involved in the weekly episodes than what Brock is.
So is that our list? Jimmy, did we get to 10?
I think we got to 10. Where's Dominique Mysterio go, though?
That's the second Dom and Dom.
Is that 11?
I think
you didn't know that's the second Dom and Dom.
He's actually number 1 in the Spider-Verse, I believe, Jimmy, is where he's number 1.
That's it. So according to the Yeah We Know podcasts, definitive, who is over list, I cannot believe we're saying this. Number 1 is Dominic Mysterio. Number 2, Seth freaking Rollins. Number 3, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. Number 4, the Usos. Number 5 against, I got outvoted. It's my damn list. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. Number 6 is L.A. Knight. And I have to point every time I say his name because it's just so funny. I don't even care. Yeah. Number 7, Roman Reigns. By the way, LA Knight is ahead of Roman Reigns on our list. Think about that for a minute.
That's insane. That's actually insane. I love it, but it's insane.
It's the dumbest thing ever, but I love it. Rhea Ripley, Brock Lesnar, and the man they call Sheamus. Those are our top 10 overacts in the WWE. We will revisit that hopefully in another couple of months to kind of see where we are and how bad and how off we are on a couple of those.
Listen, when LA Knight goes to number 1 on the list, we're just going to be slapping ourselves for having him as low as we did.
He's getting there.
When LA Knight beats Roman Reigns and he starts carrying 3 belts to the ring, we're all going to be like, damn it, back on June 21st, we should have seen it.
And with that, you've been listening to the Yeah We Know podcast, part of the More You Knows podcasting network. You're in the ring with Jimmy, Chris, and Rod.
I want the Money in the Bank ladder match to be so good. I want it to be so good. It's incredible. You see ladders. You see people doing things on ladders that you've never seen before, but I have such a worry right now in my bones, down deep in my charismatic heart as the spark on this podcast that you all know and love, that the Money in the Bank ladder match is going to end up not being cool at all. And I hope that I am wrong, but I'm just putting that out there in the world to do a reverse jinx, as you know I'm so prone to do.
Goodbye, net. Yeah.
What in the shit was that?